When you ask your subconscious for guidance, it often responds in the form of an inner feeling, a silent, certain knowing. According to the law of action and reaction, the subconscious responds to the contents of the consciousness. Through the subconscious, you can receive information about what is happening on the subjective level of life. This occurs through intuitive impressions, premonitions, sudden insights, and the like. Your inner life force is always striving to protect you. The messages it whispers to your inner ears are always constructive and life-promoting. Intuition is different from instinct. Birds build their nests, driven by instinct, just as dogs bury their bones and beavers build dams. However, these inner drives do not lead to communication with the divine presence. Instinct merely corresponds to the self-preservation drive characteristic of all life forms. In contrast, intuition allows you to consciously attune to infinity and bring forth inventions, poetry, music, or other unprecedented creative productions, as well as tap into knowledge that cannot be found in any book or library. Through your intuition, people reach the highest heights of artistic genius in music, poetry, painting, science, industry, and architecture. The only reason men and women do not receive intuitive inspirations and hints more often is that they are far too distracted by their five senses and the external world. Intuition allows us to recognize the omnipresence of the infinite, which is an unfailing help in difficult times. Your subconscious responds to the suggestions and commands of the conscious mind. If you give it a corresponding instruction, your subconscious will show you how to develop a keen ear for your inner voice and how to correctly interpret the intuitive messages. Inattention can cause you to not recognize the intuitive messages. It has happened to all of us that something specific just wouldn't come to mind, no matter how hard we tried. A name, the title of a song, a quote from a book, or something similar. Then, when we give up the frantic search and occupy ourselves with other things, the sought-after idea suddenly comes to us. Therefore, calm and relaxation are absolutely necessary. If you are in a state of tension, fear, or worry, intuitive messages can hardly reach you. Many people believe the voice of their conscience is the voice of God, but that is not true. By following the voice of their conscience, many people have ruined their lives. For example, a man once heard an inner voice commanding him to harm his mother-in-law. This voice was indeed real, but he did not consider that the subconscious always dramatizes what we input into it. It is your book of life, in which all your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs are recorded, whether they are good or bad, right or wrong. The voice this man heard was not the voice of God, but his subconscious reflecting his conscious thoughts. You must learn to distinguish between what you call your conscience and the voice of God. God's messages are never confused but clear and peaceful. The voice of God is always constructive, harmonious, and uplifting. The divine sends you only inspiring, life-affirming messages that guide you to well-being and fulfillment. If you feel the urge to violate the laws of life, such as the Golden Rule, the 10 Commandments, or Paul's message of love in the 13th chapter of Corinthians, then you know very well that this cannot be the voice of divine truth. God is life and seeks to express itself through you exclusively as beauty, harmony, joy, love, order, rhythm, and abundance. If you observe this great law of life, you will always be able to clearly distinguish between your conscience and the voice of God. Your conscience is the voice of those feelings based on your external experiences throughout life. Therefore, your conscience is less your own inner voice and more the voice of other people. Mostly, it is the voice of those fears, superstitions, errors, taboos, and prohibitions that were imprinted on your subconscious in childhood by parents and teachers. We often confuse this voice with our intuitive inner voice, which can lead to disastrous decisions. Never be guided by your conscience. Turn exclusively to the infinite intelligence when seeking guidance and inspiration. The messages of infinite intelligence are always constructive and always serve life. The voice of conscience, on the other hand, is an expression of various religious and cultural influences. Intuition is a clear and sudden insight, an immediate recognition of the truth, completely independent of the thinking processes of the mind. Intuition is much more important than the mind, and often advises us to do the exact opposite of what the mind tells us. The mind is there to translate intuitive messages into concrete actions. Intuition comes from the subjective mind. Like a beacon, it reaches the conscious intellect, often to warn of the consequences of a particular endeavor. Your subconscious becomes especially active when it is necessary to protect your life. Therefore, you should take the warnings of your deeper self very seriously. The voice of intuition does not always speak to you when you wish it to. It makes itself heard when it is necessary. When the mind fails and plunges us into confusion, intuition sings the quiet song of triumph. Intuition transcends the mind. You receive intuitive messages regarding the subject on which you focus your attention. Your subconscious responds to your concentrated thinking. If your motives are righteous and based on love and goodwill for all people, and if you are free from self-condemnation and self-criticism, and do not wish to manipulate or take advantage of anyone in any way, you will increasingly succeed in recognizing and interpreting the intuitive answers to your questions over time. Your conscious mind often tries to block your subconscious intuitive wisdom because intuition often advises the exact opposite of what the mind suggests. Therefore, ensure that your conscious, doubting, and argumentative mind steps aside. Then you will know that you know. A sign that you have received a genuine intuitive insight is usually that the mind resists this insight. Practice developing your intuition, and miracles will happen in your life. Your subjective mind perceives the world intuitively. It does not need to argue, weigh options, or gather facts because it is all-knowing and infinitely intelligent. Your breath flows quite naturally and effortlessly. Learn to let the intelligence of your subconscious flow just as effortlessly. It is of utmost importance to develop our intuitive abilities. Intuition provides us with spontaneous insights that the mind could only achieve, if at all, through weeks or months of trial and error. Many people have a completely wrong idea of intuition. They believe it is an extraordinary gift bestowed only on particularly spiritual people. That is not true. If you are truly ready to believe that infinite intelligence guides you in all your ways, in your thoughts, words, and actions, you will often hear the voice of intuition and be safely guided through life. Try the following technique. Close your eyes, become inwardly calm, and think of the infinite power and wisdom within you. How you name this power is up to you. Higher consciousness, infinite intelligence, God, infinite wisdom. It does not matter because, in truth, it is nameless. This will evoke a feeling of peace, strength, and confidence within you. Then speak to the creative intelligence within you, which alone knows all the answers, in the following simple way. The creative intelligence within me is all-knowing, and now gives me the new ideas I need to fulfill my desires. Imagine how, in response, intuitive knowledge rises from the depths of your subconscious and fills your consciousness. Do not just pretend to believe, truly believe. Then accept the answer and let the whole matter go completely. This is the most important aspect, the secret of this technique. Return to your daily routine. Do not sit around waiting for the answer. It will come when you are thinking about something else and not expecting it. The inner voice of intuition manifests in sudden flashes of insight, spontaneous and without prior notice. You will most clearly hear the voice of intuition from the chorus of your other inner voices when you instruct your subconscious to help you distinguish the true from the false. Become inwardly still several times a day and slowly, calmly, and lovingly state, "Infinite intelligence flows through me as harmony, health, peace, joy, and perfection. It speaks and acts through me and guides me in all my ways. I clearly and distinctly recognize and understand all the messages from my higher self, which always protects and guides me. If you make this prayer a firm habit, you will recognize the intuitive voice through an inner feeling of being touched, enabling you to distinguish between true and false. When you are mentally and physically calm and relaxed, you will hear the voice of intuition clearly and distinctly. You can instruct your subconscious to always guide you to right actions and to warn you in time if necessary for your protection. Frequently repeat the affirmation that infinite intelligence is always your guide and counselor, and that you promptly recognize the voice of your higher self. Infinite intelligence will definitely respond to your sincere request, and you will receive the guidance you seek. Intuition means recognizing truths immediately, without the involvement of the mind. Intuition also means inner hearing. Sometimes the intuitive answer comes as a thought, but usually you hear a voice as clearly as if it were coming from the radio. Start developing your intuition today, and true miracles will happen in your life. Intuition provides us with spontaneous insights that the mind could only achieve, if at all, through weeks or months of trial and research. Use your mind to translate the messages of intuition into concrete actions.